Hi friends, today we are going to learn about what is the role of access modifiers. The role of access modifiers in C Sharp. Access modifiers in C Sharps are keywords that define the visibility or accessibility of types like classes, methods, properties, etc. and their members like fields, properties and methods in a program. They control who can access the member, from where, under what condition. Access modifiers are essential for encapsulation and data protection, allowing you to hide the internal details of a class while exposing only what's necessary for external use. The first we'll see the public access modifier. Visibility. No restriction on access. The member is accessible from anywhere in the code. Use case. When you want a class, a method, a property to be available for use throughout the entire application or by the other classes. Here we can see one example. We have a class called public class car name, and we have a field which is a public string model. So this model can be accessed from anywhere. And the next access modifier is private. Visibility. The member is accessible only within the same class where it is defined. It is not accessible from outside the class because it is a private one. Use case. To hide details of a class internal implementation and prevent unintended modification or access. Now we will see in the example. Here we have a class name called car, which is a public, and we have a private field which there is a, you look at here, there is a private keyword here, and the data type is string and the name is model. And we have a one method public void set model, and it takes a parameter as a string model. See, this dot model equal to model, so allowed to access private member within the same class only. So when we add a private, only accessible within the car class. And the next access modifier is protected. For visibility, the member is accessible within the same class and by derived classes or subclasses. Use case. To allow derived classes to access the base class members but hide them from external classes that do not inherit from the base class. We'll see in the example. Here we have a class name called car, and we have a field called protected string model accessible within the class and derived class. And now I am inheriting car to sports car. In the sports car class we have a one method which is public void set model, and it takes parameter string model. This dot model I have assigned as a model. And see, this is a protected one, and it's allowed here as a sports car is derived from a car because we have implemented inheritance. Now the next one is internal access modifier. Visibility. The member is accessible only within the same assembly, that means same project or exe file. It is not accessible from other assemblies or projects. Use case. For members that should be accessible within the same project but not outside of it. It's often used in large applications where you don't want to expose certain members to external users but still need to use them within the project. Now we will see that in example. Look at here. We have an internal field model accessible within the same assembly. That means within the same project only we can access this model. And the next one is protected internal visibility. The member is accessible. The member is accessible from derived classes and from classes within the same assembly. It combines protected and internal. Use case. When you want to allow access to the members both within the same assembly and in derived classes, regardless of whether they are in the same assembly or not. Now we will see that in example. See, look at here, we have a class name called car and we have a keyword protected internal and field name is string and model accessible in derived classes within the same assembly only. And the private protected visibility. The member is accessible only within the same class or derived classes within the same assembly. Use case. It provides a more restricted form of access than protected internal by limiting access to derived classes in the same assembly. Now we will see that in example. See, here we have a keyword called private and protected accessible only within the same class are derived with restrictions. Now we will see the summary of access modifiers. Access modifier accessibility use case. First we'll go with public accessible from anywhere, no restriction. Use case for members you want to make available globally. Private accessible only within the same class to restrict access to class members from outside. Protected accessible within the same class and derived class to allow derived class to access base class and members. Internal accessible only within the same assembly, that means same project, to restrict access to members within the same assembly. Protected internal accessible within the same assembly and from derived classes to allow access in derived classes and within the same assembly. And private protected accessible within the same class and derived class within the same assembly to restrict access to members within the same assembly and derived class only. So friend, this is access modifiers in C#. Thank you.